Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the royal family of Gondal, Ashish Doshi, Honorary Director, and myself, welcome to a very special evening here at the Royal Opera House, Mumbai. As many of you know, the Royal Opera House reopened in October of 2016 after a hiatus of 26 years. The response from the city of Mumbai and our collaborators has been amazing. Some of you are here today, so thank you. And for those who've come to us for the very first time, welcome, and we hope to see you back again and again. And for your benefit, a brief introduction about this iconic venue. Widely touted as Mumbai's cultural crown jewel, the Royal Opera House is India's only surviving opera house. Inaugurated in 1911 by King George V, was eventually completed in 1916. The space became a cinema in later years before closing its doors. Owned by the royal family of Gondal since the 50s, it was under the leadership and patronage of the current Maharaja, Shri Jyotendra Singh Ji, that it was restored. Today, it stands as a key performance and creative hub in the city's cultural landscape while being a premier heritage landmark. In fact, in 2017, we received the UNESCO Award for Asia Pacific Award for Cultural Heritage Conservation. Our larger curatorial vision aims to define the Royal Opera House as being much more than music. We want to energize the venue by providing a unique platform in the city for people to encounter the breadth of the arts, which includes visual arts, dance, and poetry. In keeping with our legacy of this institution, we're keen to support and showcase unique events that defy easy categorization and find synergies between the arts in fascinating ways. We've already become a collaborative hub for art and having supported and showcasing established as well as emerging talent in the field. We've planned interventions, experiential exhibitions, retrospectives, installations, all brought in collaboration with some of the most talented and emerging artists, galleries, and institutions. In the true spirit of collaboration, we presented the Mumbai Gallery Weekend. We've partnered with Sakshi Gallery, Cosmic Heart Gallery, and many more. Tonight, the Royal Opera House is delighted to partner with Gallery Art and Soul. Gallery Art and Soul, the Basu Art Foundation, OFC, and Avid Learning bring you a one-of-a-kind evening that fuses visual arts, performing arts, and poetry in a unique way. This evening is conceptualized around the wings of eternity. Artist and poet Satish Gupta's masterful site-specific work that will be unveiled shortly. The masterwork will serve as a muse and a centerpiece for this evening's happenings on stage. Sculpture, contemporary dance, poetry, and gestural painting will come together in a way you've never experienced it in before. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very elaborate production, and so many of you may not be able to see the entire show, so we urge you to take a walk after the production ends and to take it all in. We also have on display on the lawns a specially curated selection of auxiliary art from the artist's Zen Space portfolio, as well as another sculpture, the Cosmic Wave. So do check that out. And now, to the task at hand. To kick off this evening, here is a video by the artist before we get transported into his world. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
I'm the shadow, I'm the light, I'm the dewdrop, I'm the ocean, I'm the dragon, I'm the dragonfly, I'm the mist, I'm the mountain, I'm wisdom, I'm ignorance, I'm death, I'm life. Above all, I am. I want people to feel almost protected with my work and yet free. So that's what I've done in my sculpture, The Buddhas Within. It is like being in a womb. In the big head and the rear is like a cave. I have made 1500 Buddhas, 500 for the past, 500 for the present, 500 for the future. Because I want to show the whole life cycle, the timelessness of it all. Garuda is both in Hindu and the Buddhist myths. And he is a demigod who preferred to remain a demigod. He surrendered his ego to help others. Buddha to me is a metaphor for something divine. I've inscribed the Buddhist mantra Om Mani Padme Hum on the pebbles, on the rocks, on the trees, on the sky, and the flowing prayer flags. I'm really fascinated by the elements because that's all that we are. And if we don't really respect the elements, they can take over. They can be very friendly and they can be very punishing. The mandala and the shunya are about movement. They're about life. Everything is turning, everything is moving. But then it comes to stillness and silence, emptiness and fullness. The whole cosmos is shunya, where the nebulous and the steadfast merge, the dark and the light come together. That's what the works are all about.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Please now welcome on stage to launch this prolific artist's new book, Zen Whispers. We have the artist himself, Satish Gupta. Tarana Khoopchandani of Gallery Art and Soul. Isha Sharvani, the principal dancer this evening. Asad Lalji, curator of the Royal Opera House and CEO, Avid Learning. Abhishek Basu of the Basu Foundation for the Arts. Luke Richner of Old Fashioned Cosmopolitan. And finally, Poonam Malhotra of Full Circle Publishers. Thank you all, and congratulations to you, Satish ji. We will now have a short discussion with the artist, followed by readings and the performances. So good evening, Satish ji, and welcome to the Royal Opera House. This is a very unique event on our stage, and you are a very unique artist. So being a poet, a sculptor, a writer, and a calligrapher, can you tell us how these aspects come together harmoniously in your work, and also a little bit about how your journey began?
The journey began about 2 decades back. I was in a poetry conference, an international poetry conference in Spain, and there was a poetess who read her poem, and she read her paper, and she was explaining how a poet is like a swimmer in the sea, and what he feels on a conscious level, on a subconscious level. So she built a whole thesis on that, of the experience of the swimmer who's the poet and how he's expressing it. And I asked her a simple question. I said, how does the sea feel when the swimmer jumps, the poet jumps into the water. How does the sea feel? So I said, let's find out, because for an Eastern mind, I think it's very important that nature and man are together. There is no difference between Prakriti and Purush. In fact, nature comes before man comes. We never say that we've conquered the Everest. We just like a little speck on that. So keeping that in mind, we went to the, in Spain, in Altea, very rocky beach, and we were on top. It was a Sunday. There was no possibility. I didn't have any brushes. I didn't have any paper. So we went to the hardware store, and we got a scroll, a few scrolls, and there was one long scroll which was just a wallpaper, basically a red one. So we got it onto the beach, and we were on top of the sort of the cliff, and we rolled them out, and I did a calligraphy. We wrote our poems, and this one was, we had a soprano singing Lorca's famous poem where the matador has been killed, and she's wailing, the mother is wailing. So I did a big bull, and then we carried it as an offering to the sea. We carried it down the slope, and of course the sea didn't like it. It rejected the poem, and it flew back because it was very windy. So one of the poets, he took off his clothes, and in the shorts, he put a big rock into the scroll, and he dumped it into the sea. You better accept it. You can't reject a poem. And it was such a transformative moment for me, because the rock went into the sea, and the scroll just bled on this turquoise ocean. So I said, this is what I want to paint, because it was a perfect image. And I started that journey painting the oceans, different oceans around the world. A few months back, I was in Altea, in the Normandy beach, and I did the scroll. I painted the ocean, and Ramli Ibrahim, who's a very well-known Odissi dancer, he was there, and he very spontaneously started dancing next to the scroll. So we did this beautiful scroll. And as I was painting, I was watching this one wave, and it was just coming onto the beach, and it was dissolving. And I was just wondering, does a wave really question its destiny when it dissolves on the shore, or it just... So that was a thought in my mind, and I did this sculpture that you see outside. That was a starting off point for that.
Thank you. We see a lot of religious iconography in your works, especially the cosmic matrix works. Has there been a shift in your ideology? Tell us about that, and also tell us about the philosophies that shine through in this new book.
No, there's not been any shift in my ideology. I'm very, very clear that I use the religious iconography, the icons, as an entry point into my work. This is to engage the viewer, engage the people, so they relate to it, and once they get into it, is to go beyond that. It's not restricted to religion at all. It could be any religion. I worship all the religions, and I find they're all so beautiful. But then what happens is that with religion, people follow it blindly, and that's where the problem really begins. And people become very self-righteous, and they look down upon people who don't have the same ideology. And I think that, for me, is very disturbing. And I wrote one of my haikus on that. I said, don't wrap yourself in layers and layers of spirituality to hide your untamed ego. Spirituality can really become a very comforting prison. And when you can just flow like the river, there's really no need to build bridges. We're all one.
Thank you. Through this new book, as well as the haikus that one can see in the Zen Space portfolio, which is showcased outside, the magnificent sculpture Cosmic Wave, which is also installed outside, and of course, the overwhelming pièce de résistance, the Wings of Eternity, which will be unveiled shortly. Tell us, what is your message to your audience today?
We are all bodhisattvas. We have the Buddha within us, only we are not aware of it. And once we become conscious of it, I think even a little spark of awareness can spread a luminous light in this dark universe.
Thank you, Satish, for giving us some wonderful insights into your practice and into your philosophies. Satish will now read a short passage from the book.
This short story is called Phalaenopsis. He wasn't making much headway in his spiritual quest, even after years of meditation at the Zendo, spending hours and hours every morning before dawn and again before dusk. Disillusionment was setting in. He was almost ready to give up. Then one evening, in the cold monastery up in the mountains, the master called him, much to his surprise, and without saying a word, gave him a flower, a fresh Phalaenopsis. It was a koan, he presumed, a spiritual riddle given to him, at last, by the Roshi. Seeking an answer, the young monk clutched the white flower and held it closely to his bronzed body, gazing at it, straining every muscle and sinew to find out an answer. The pearls of his glistening sweat caressed the virgin purity of his whiteness. Slowly he unfolded the petals, explored their voluptuous intensity with his trembling hands, his fingers moving tenderly around their contours, searching the mysterious universe within. Lost in his whirlpools, he experienced the primordial garden of Shambhala, where 1,000 flowers blossomed, each one a koan, a question. Mist and clouds engulfed him in their snowy whiteness. It was freezing cold, but his body was burning with desire to comprehend the unknown, the purity, the beyond. The more he explored the Phalaenopsis, the more mysterious it became. Undeterred, he persisted, sure that if he meditated long enough, one day it would point to an opening, giving an answer to his quest. But very soon he realized that he didn't have the luxury of time. He had to hurry, because if the flower wilted, as he mused, he would have nothing to meditate upon. His koan, the question itself, would be gone forever. Hurriedly, he looked around for water. Not finding any, he scooped up a handful of snow and melted it with his warmth of his palms and sprinkled it on the fragile flower to keep it fresh, to keep it alive while he searched for the right answer. Precious minutes were going by. He had to find the correct answer. It had to be now. He quizzed his brain. Thousands of answers reeled through his mind, but none seemed right. He was desperate now, his brain working like a supercomputer, solving many equations at the same time. His analytical mind could not think anymore. It was overloaded and blocked as it went round and round in circles. Exasperated, he could do nothing but let go. All the years spent in meditation wilted away, while his Phalaenopsis remained freshness, in the nowness of the now.
Thank you, Satish. We will now have a short reading and showcase of some more haiku from the book. We met like two birds in mid, I to sunset, you to sunrise. Water flowing, no time to pass judgment on uneven boulders. Each person's silence is unique, just like their voice. In this cacophony, some silent notes waiting to be heard. From the bow tree, a golden leaf floats down, meditating in midair. There must be a way out of this maze, the open sky. No newspapers. Today's news, a fresh moon in water. Be still, mind, let the dervishes whirl.
After that performance, really, what can I say? I'm spellbound, just like I'm sure all of you are. Just wanted to share something that happened behind the scenes. From the very first time that Satish and I walked into the Royal Opera House, we were hooked, completely spellbound, so excited that Mumbai had a beautiful opera house, this beautiful Baroque monument that had been revived and restructured, and has become a platform really to bring all the arts together. As we walked through the balconies, climbed all the way up to the nosebleed floor, we checked out the detailing on the motifs, I didn't realize that the imagination and the creativity of this maestro was being unleashed. As he created the wing of eternity, specially for this day, he found the perfect companion in the beautiful Isha Sharvani. She has joined us briefly, leaving her little child in Australia just for this performance today. To tell you a little bit about the act, so in the first part, she was dancing around the wing and she really immortalized it. She breathed life into it and brought it alive for us today in those few minutes. In the second part of the act, she was the eagle. That was the dance of the eagle. The regality and the grace was unmatched. And in the last part of the act, she really becomes infinity. So both these artists have today gone beyond the limitation of their own personal art to bring about a fusion for all of us. We couldn't have done this without several partners, Abhishek Basu, Luke Richner, Poonam Malhotra for the beautiful book that we've released today and which is available outside. Most of all, to the royal family of Gondal for giving us this platform, for giving us this beautiful stage, and the entire Avid family. Asad, you are amazing. From Aisha, Urshila, Sagar, Gaurav, Dwani, thank you from the bottom of our heart. And now may I request both of them to take a final curtain call. Thank you all for being here. You have really made this evening